Hey guys, welcome back to another Q&A. It's November 9th, 2022. So I've got a really nice variety of questions. I haven't done one of these in a little bit. I've been posting some different like IG lives and stuff on the YouTube channel. So I had someone ask about this, doing one. So here we are. And I just so happened to get some other good questions. So let's take a look. First one is pertaining to nootropic supplementation. What's your opinion? Any particular ingredients you look for in a good one? Potential cons of taking them. So I assume they're asking for like a pre-mixed formula type of thing that would have multiple ingredients. So first off, the idea of the nootropic or these cognitive type of supplements to enhance concentration, to enhance memory retention, to enhance recall, to enhance energy. There's a lot of things that fall into that category to enhance like resilience to stress, things like that. The problem with a lot of formulas is if they're using like the kitchen sink type of thing and it's influencing a lot of different neurotransmitters that might not really suit your personal needs in terms of what your neurochemical profile is like. So you don't just want to shotgun approach this and try to boost your dopamine, boost your serotonin, boost your choline levels, boost your, all of these things. So if you want to be more specific, then I would really want to look at like what that person's mood is like and tendencies. And that would, give me an idea of, are they more of like a dopaminergic person? Do they need dopamine? Do they need serotonin? Like, why would we want to use a certain ingredient? That would be the question. And that's difficult to answer because I don't know anything about this person or anyone watching. Now, as far as like an overall type of nootropic that I think wouldn't necessarily shotgun approach this would be Morphogen's Morphobrain, which has actually been reformulated a few times. But the reason that I like this too is because it's more of a balancing type of nootropic where help with stress resilience, help with memory recall, help with balancing serotonin and dopamine levels, like rather than like trying to just increase something or decrease something, it's going to be more of a balancing formula. Like Bacopa is a great ingredient that helps balance alpha GPC to boost choline levels, really highly bioavailable. Ginkgo. So I like that formula for more of a balancing type of formula that would probably suit multiple chemical profiles rather than like just trying to make you fly high on a bunch of dopamine and adrenaline. So keep that in mind. Thoughts on semaglutide for physique athletes. Did a whole video on this, so just go to my YouTube, you'll see it. I've been asked this a bunch. It's a super hot topic. Just go right to my YouTube channel and you'll see my whole breakdown on it. And I talk about, what it is, what it does. I don't even think a lot of people know what it does. So I wanted to make a video on what it does because everyone's like, oh, let's just take it because it sounds so cool. Go learn what it does and form an opinion based on that. What meals do you like in the evening before bed that digest well, aid in recovery, help you sleep better? Do you do fruit before bed? I just eat normal meals, whole food. I don't do anything special before bed. I know some people do like the idea of that fructose to help balance blood sugar levels that potentially help with sleep. It might help. You can try it. There's no harm in trying it. I don't think it's going to be anything miraculous, but I tend to just do a whole food meal. Yeah, I mean, recovery and aiding sleep probably isn't going to have a lot to do with your meal prior to bed. I mean, that's probably more so going to be your circadian pattern, overall stress levels, your sleep and wake routine, your overall digestion as a whole throughout the day, your protein intake, your training capacity, your training load, like all those things. That's what's going to determine the answer to this question more so than anything. So, favorite ways to mitigate the stress on your adrenals with your prep. So the way that I look at this is I think that a lot of this is probably done prior to prep, meaning really having that routine established prior to the actual prep starting and then maintaining it. One of my goals in prep, and of course things get a little difficult as you go on, is maintaining that same sleep and wake cycle, maintaining the same digestive capacity the best I can, still doing the things that I would normally do in a productive off-season setting that help me manage my stress, not slacking on them when I, am maybe falling short on time or I'm getting tired or whatever it might be. So I think that's a lot of that. I'm forming those habits in the off season. Additional stuff, like I may add in some like additional recovery modalities and things. Like I have a New Fit machine, which is the direct current machine. Awesome. I do the Master Reset on there. You have to check that out. Look that up. It's pretty cool. Any like soft tissue work modalities, things like that. So there are some like additional recovery modalities that I'll use, but largely I'm just maintaining my routine the best I can. Like I'm not slacking on sleep because I have to get up and do cardio, things like that. So I know that's maybe not the answer that you're looking for, but that's kind of how I, do it. Try to keep my life the same. Okay. Opinion on proton pump inhibitors and the proper protocol for recovering from acid reflux issues. Well, for one, proton pump inhibitors are essentially kind of blocking those little pumps on the cell surfaces from producing acid, parietal cells. So the problem is that most people have low acid issues, not high acid issues. Like this is kind of I did a whole video on this on my Facebook. You can actually go check it out. It was recent. If you just go in and search my profile, I talk about this like in more depth. When you cease these things or stop them, the half-life of most of the PPIs are relatively short, like Prilosec, for example. In theory, your body's ability to produce acid should pick back up pretty quickly, and then you may need to replace additional acid depending on the requirements of your diet, of your ability to produce acid. If it is compromised, like if you're eating 300 grams of protein, like that's a high acid requirement, right? So you may need betaine. You may need to start at 1 to 2 caps a meal. You may need to ramp to 6 or 8 or 10. I mean, like I've gotten super high with people. Generally, if your digestion and GI as a whole is functioning well, then your parietal cell's ability to produce acid is going to be pretty good. But I would fix as much stuff in the back end of that before you try to come off of that. And then that way your ability to produce acid is improved. That's kind of my take on it. But the problem with answering this question is like, is there a bacterial issue? Is there something else going on? Because a lot of the time it's not just acid reflux. Like there's SIBO or there's Candida or there's H. pylori or all these things. So I would need to know that before we can really determine what the protocol is going to be. Because it could be as simple as like clean up the diet, stop taking it, take some betaine, you're ready to go. Or it could be a lot more complex than that. Average cost for supplement protocol if your client has SIBO, H. pylori, or multiple issues. Oof. Well, it's not cheap. Now, there's going to be a lot of variance in this depending on what the issue is. Okay, well, let's break it down. I'm not going to be able to give you an exact cost, but off the top of my head, but let's break it down. We probably have some gut lining support. We probably have some, which is like 1 to 2 things generally, maybe like that's not too expensive, maybe $20 to $30 a month, maybe, probably not even. Antimicrobials, maybe like 4 to 5. Some people use a blend, which those products are very expensive. We're talking like Metagenics and stuff, but let's say I'm using like a single ingredient. Maybe those are $15 to $25 a product times 5. Maybe they last you a couple months each. So maybe we're looking at like 30 to 40 plus another like 50 or so, 60, I don't know. Some additional biofilm support, maybe another $50 a month. H. pylori support, maybe another 40 to 50. So I mean, I don't know, anywhere from $150 to $250 a month maybe for a protocol like that for a few months or more. That's a really rough estimate. Like it's probably going to vary depending on the person and the brands and things. And some of the brands, like I said, the blended products and stuff, they're marked up so much. I tend to do single ingredient protocols with most people for various reasons. And that could vary more, like depending on there's a lot of little bonus items and things that we could probably add in that may assist the protocol further, but maybe I won't add them because of budget issues if I'm really trying to minimize things. So it will vary for sure. Care to outline your peak week from your recent win? Okay. Well, I probably won't outline the whole thing, but I'll give you cliff notes. So I was overweight. I had to make weight. There was a depletion period that was about like 10 day probably like 9 days out to like 5 days out, something like that. Pretty high cardio. It was like 100 plus minutes a day. Low food. It was like under 1,500 calories, 1,400 some calories, which I was already really doing anyhow. This was just lower carbohydrate. Through the week, on show week, potassium was preferenced as I loaded carbs. Generally, we need sodium to transport glucose, but the idea was to get some water weight down. So I was still taking in sodium, but I was getting close to like a 2-to-1 ratio of potassium to sodium. That was allowing my weight to drop while still increasing carbs. I wasn't pounding tons of carbs. I went like 200 grams, 300 grams in that range for a few days. And then that was like, Monday through Wednesday type of thing. I actually woke up Thursday, which I was supposed to fly. And I thought that I was going to be pretty close to weight within like a couple pounds. I was actually like 4 to 6 pounds over because I had some stomach issues. So that day, instead of loading, the potassium still stayed higher. Water, it was like 2 gallons a week. I had to fast like half the day. And then I got a small amount of food in the afternoon. Woke up, made weight Friday, finished Friday loading with it's like 170 grams of protein. It wasn't a lot because I didn't, I wasn't training or anything. Training stopped on Thursday, but it was really light Thursday. Cardio was done by Thursday as well. And cardio had titrated down all week. Friday, it's like 174, 480 carb and like 70 grams of fat spread out throughout the day. After I made weight in the morning, shifted back towards sodium at that point. Not heavily. It's like 3,800 milligrams of sodium and like 3,200 potassium. So it wasn't like a crazy high amount, but that little bit of shift helped pull some more of that glucose in and get that fullness back, a little vascularity back. Water stayed high. It was like 1.75 gallon that day. Cut it off at night. 12 hours out, maybe 14 hours out. Morning, meals were very small. They were like 15 carbs, 25 fat, or 25 protein, like 15 grams of fat. They're small, just maintaining because I was already pretty full. Water was like 6 to 8 ounces per meal. I think I had 2 meals, a little bit of water in between the meals, sips basically. Got to pump up, had like 8 to 12 ounces of Gatorade with, has some carbs with then some additional salt in there. Hit it. I mean, it wasn't complicated. The electrolytes got a little dicey just because of the weight and stuff like that, but like it would have been easier had I not woke up Thursday with the stomach issue and was 6 pounds over and had to suck down. Hopefully that made sense. I know it was like a lot, but that was kind of like my real quick cliff note run through of that. Thank you everyone for the questions, and we will talk to you all next time.